So now, the kingdom is at hand. See, when Moses gave that prosperity speech 5,500 years ago, the kingdom was not at hand. Now, commandment 1 through 4 will not stop you from having, not following commandments 1 through 4. So you can pretty much not follow. Now, you don't have to follow, and I don't want y'all to misconstrue my words here, because many of you all will do so. You do not have to follow commandments 1 through 4 to have prosperity. You don't. Do the other nations follow commandment 1 through 4? No, they have other gods. They don't even believe in the gods of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I want you all to pay close attention to what I'm saying here. Now, even when it comes to us Negroes, these rich people out here, I'm talking about the ones that sign, I'm talking about you Negroes that shake hands with Satan. Did you, y'all not really following any of the commandments. You're certainly not following commandments 1 through 4 because Satan is your God. Are the Caucasians following commandments? Now, a lot of them are. A lot of them aren't. A whole lot of them aren't. A lot of Caucasians follow the Caucasian Messiah, who is falsehood and doesn't exist. Arabs, you have your religion, right? You don't follow the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now, the word Allah means God, but it's two different gods. You don't got me fooled. You follow your God, and he isn't the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So, just to let you know, you Negroes, you're not following, you Negroes who are wrapped up in religion, you're not following the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now, point I'm making is there are a lot of people, Caucasians, you have privilege here in Babylon the Great, America, and in the Britons and in the Germanys. You Caucasians basically run the world. You've interbred in with the Ishmaelites, which is why a lot of our Arabs over there in the Middle East now look Caucasian. You can see that they got some Arab in them, but for the most part, they've been whited out. Now, you all know that this is true. So, what has happened? Because if you go to Saudi Arabia, if you go to Germany, if you go to places in Europe, and here in America, the so-called white man is at the helm of everything. He as an entirety, there are some individuals from other nations that do follow the God, that do trust in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They do take Revelations 1, 14, and 15 and apply it into their everyday life. There are some people of other nations that do this. But you nations as an entirety despise the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. What is it mainly that you despise about him? Isaiah 9 and 6. You all, many of you, of people from other nations, would prefer the hellfire than to believe that Yahushua HaMashiach, the one who came and walked in the flesh, is the creator of heaven and earth. For that is the most precious and the most dangerous commandment. You go, these white people, they have the privileges, right? Now, do you really think that it's only because of our disobedience? Do you really think that that's only because of the disobedience of the Israelites, of the black people? No. Now, when is the last time you've ever seen an Arab attack another Arab? I'm getting somewhere with this, and I need you all to pay attention, because we've already got over the prosperity speech. Now, I want you to pay attention. See, why are we the tail as Israelites, as black people, and not the head? Because we don't lend, we borrow. Why are we the tail? When is the last time you've ever seen a Chinese man attack? Now, these things happen. I'm not saying that they don't happen, right? You always have quarrels and disputes. That's, but I'm saying, is it displayed on social media? The way you Negroes, that's why I keep telling you Negroes about these raps that promote black on black violence. You have to stop. It's only entertainment. Stop it. Because that only entertainment, you got children that are between the ages of 1 and 7, and those are the most influential years, 1 through 7. But then 7 through 14 is pretty influential as well. So if they hear about you busting a cap in another Negro, trust me, they'll absorb it. Stop saying, oh, well, the parents, that's foolishness. The parents, you know how much promotional media is out here nowadays? What are you going to do? Put your child in a padded room? Stop being foolish. So understand that a house divided against itself cannot stand. When is the last time you've seen another Arab steal from another Arab? When do you see it? Do you see another Indian man climbing through another Indian man's window to sneak into his bed? Do you see you don't even see homosexuality like that in the Arab nations, and well, you got a lot of white folks that's running rampant with that. But now, see, white folks are majority lawless anyway. Okay, so, but when you go out there into these big rural communities, for the most part, you see the husband and the wife, they have 2 parents. They don't go about stealing. They don't go about robbing. They don't go about coveting one another's belongings. They honor their mother and father. They have their parents living in their house. And they always go see mommy, and they always go see daddy. And they put them in nursing homes, and then they take them on trips, right? They may have cussed out their parents. See, that's really the older age white folks, white folks my age and older, they really discipline their children. That's F you mommy, F you daddy, that new age stuff that's coming on now. That stuff is about 20, 30 years old at best. But 50, 60 years ago, not even white kids was doing that. Dishonoring their mother and dishonoring their father. So, do you see the other nations rampantly breaking the commandments? Like now, I know they don't give a FUC about commandment 1 through 4. I know this. Many of them don't. But I want you to comprehend what I'm saying to you. So now James says if you break one commandment, then you break them all. Right? Yeah, that's right. But I'm about to make a point here. Okay? Romans 2 and 13. Okay, before I get to that, okay, commandments 5 through 10 will hinder you from societal progress. I don't care who it is. If you got a Caucasian, a Chinese man, or an Arab, if they're breaking commandments 5 through 10, if they're causing discord amongst their brethren, if they're not loving their brethren, no matter if you're a Chinese man, commandments 5 through 10, to break those commandments will hinder you or give you a hard way to go in gathering societal progress. So you will have a hard time getting societal progress if you break commandments 5 through 10. Now, I don't want y'all to take my message and misconstrue it. If you break one commandment, you break them all. But I want you all to just follow me here for a minute, okay? Because I'm about to show you something, all right? Look around at the other nations, religions, and organizations, right? You have camps and you have organizations. You know, you got the Nation of Islam. You have all of these other organizations, right? And for the most part, they do well, right? They have their speakers. Their speakers do really well. In these camps, you have the same thing, right? Some camps have more money than others. But points I'm saying, and then you have congregations. You have churches. You got the pastors driving around in the Lincolns and the Cadillacs, right? So, understand that a lot of these organizations, they don't follow commandments 1 through 4, but they still make 6-7 figures a year, right? Doesn't matter if they're black, white, blue, purple, or green, right? All right. Now, I want y'all to pay attention to this. Romans 2:13 and 15. Romans 2:13 and 15. For it is not the hearers of the law of Moses who are righteous before God, but the doers of the law of Moses who will be justified. For when Gentiles who do not have the law of Moses by nature do what the law of Moses requires, automatically do what the law of Moses requires. They are a law unto themselves, even though they do not have the law of Moses. They show the work of the law of Moses is written on their hearts, while their conscience also bears witness, and their conflicting thoughts accuse or even excuse them. Now, did any of you get that? You probably didn't. So I'm going to read it again. I have to. So, before I do that though, with the Caucasians, the Arabs, the Caucasians, the Ishmaelites, the Chinaman, okay, who were early on Hamites. Did these people, were these nations given the law of Moses? No, they weren't. Only the Israelites was given the law of Moses. So you need to remember that. So if you were somebody from another nation, you weren't inclined in the law of Moses. But does that mean that you were a vessel of destruction? No. Because some people were given good hearts. You have Muslim Negroes that have good hearts, whether they be in traditional Islam or whether they be in the Nation of Islam. Do you think that just because they're in Islam, they're wicked? No, that's not true. There are some individuals who have better hearts than some of you Hebrew Israelites. Because many of you who are wrapped up in the Hebrew Israelite tradition are wicked, conniving, cunning, and downright evil. So you got to understand something, right? You can still follow the commandments without knowing the law of Moses, and you can still follow the commandments if you're somebody of another nation, even though the law of Moses wasn't given to you. How? You can automatically do what the law requires. Now, what is that? Well, you know the commandments, but there's something very key, which is the main reason why, and the other nations, not all of them know this, but the elite know this. And that's the reason why there's billions of dollars a year being pumped to keep you black people from understanding who you are according to the scriptures, and to promote violence, and to promote violence, and to promote violence, so that we can keep blood on our hands. And that adultery thing as well. Woo! That thing is bad too. Okay? We have blood on our hands as a black people. Therefore, we remain in disobedience. Now, the simplicity of it all is to trust in Christ, right? But that's not what this is about. So I'm not even going to say that. Why? Because many of you are not going to do it anyway. Some of you are, more and more of you are turning to religion out of sheer rebellion and animosity and anger. Many of you that have the donkey face effect, when you know you're wrong, you do it anyway out of spite and pure wickedness, even though you know you're wrong. What makes you think that there's no judgment that's going to roll down the hill for you? Now, on social media, you have all types of religions and all types of organizations, and they're doing very, very well. Whether some of you are selling things, some of you are just in organizations, some of you are just in religion. But the moment one of you niggas start telling the truth, you're going to lose everything. So that's what's going to keep you all in the crooked path. Now, there's going to come a point in time when you're going to have to make a sacrifice. And if you don't, woe to you. Woe to you. I'm only speaking to you Negroes. I'm not speaking to anybody else. Now, no, I don't want you all to take that the wrong way. Not that I'm afraid, because I don't speak for people's approval. But this message is for whoever wants to listen. Now, I don't care who you are. I'm not trying to, I'm just being real. I cannot shut the heaven up to individuals of other nations. So if you are an Arab, if you are a Chinese person, if you are a Caucasian, if you are Japanese, if you're Indian, if you're an African, this is for you as well. You can take this and learn from it in due diligence. But I know that the majority of you aren't. You're just not. Why? Because of Revelations 1:14 and 15. That is the problem. That's the problem. Revelations 1:14 and 15 is the problem for you other nations. Now, let me read that again. I needed to say that. And I'm going to say it again. Romans 2:13 and 15. Pay attention. For it is not the hearers of the law of Moses whom are righteous before Elohim, but the doers of the law of Moses who will be justified. For when Gentiles do not have the law of Moses, when Gentiles who do not have the law of Moses, who were not given the law of Moses, by naturally do, automatically do what the law requires, what the law of Moses requires. They are a law unto themselves, meaning they have a liberty. And I'll explain that in a minute. Even though they do not have the law of Moses, even though they weren't given the law of Moses, they show that the work of the law of Moses is written on their hearts, while their conscience also bears witness, and their conflicting thoughts accuse or excuse them. Now, this is really pertaining to Israelites that were among the nations, but this will also work for individuals of other nations. For to follow Ecclesiasticus 12:13, the end of the matter, all has been heard. Fear Elohim and follow his commandments, for this is the whole duty of mankind. Everybody is responsible for following the commandments. Now, we as a nation, we follow commandment 1 through 4 more than any other nation. Let me repeat that. Black people. There's no other nation, especially during this time, that follows commandments 1 through 4 more than us. We do it more than anybody. But we don't follow commandments 5 through 10. And I'm going to show you what's happening here. Because a lot of you Negroes, whether you've been in a camp, whether you've been in an organization, or whether you've been in a congregation, you basically say, this is what you say: I love God, I love God, I love God. Well, I'm going to prove to you. That the majority of you don't love God, because you only answer questions with actions, not with words. Well, you can answer questions with words too, but you answer questions with actions, right? Now, deliverance. Acts 4 and 12. Acts 4 and 12. Okay? And there is salvation in no one else, for there is no other name under heaven given among men by which we must be saved. So, understand something. You can't get salvation without trusting Yahusha. You can have all the things on this planet, the 6 figures, the 7 figures, all the women and all the cars. But what does it profit a man to gain all these things of the world and lose his soul? See, too many people are given prosperity speeches. Now, today we are the children of light. Well, not all of us. Only some of us. But the kingdom is at hand. But only the children of light will obtain the kingdom. See, the kingdom wasn't at hand when Moses gave that prosperity speech. No, it wasn't. See, because at the end of the day, Christ wasn't going to come and reign till now anyway. So it didn't matter what Moses was saying then, because the kingdom was not at hand. And the kingdom is within you. But you have to keep it, because you've been given salvation through the persecution of God on the cross or on the stake, whatever. But you can lose your salvation. Okay? I'm just telling you, a lot of you Negroes that right now. A lot of you Christians. You can lose your salvation. And a lot of you that are in religion, you can lose your salvation by not telling the truth and by not following commandments 5 through 10, and certainly by not following commandments 1 through 4. But I'm going to tell you the trick in a minute, and I want you to hang tight, because we're not following commandments 1 through 10. But commandments 5 through 10. But as a whole, the other nation now, the Caucasians are slipping, because poverty is coming to a lot of you white folk now. That's because Babylon the Great is and its philosophies got a grasp, is grasping on your youth. There are more and more Caucasian kids that are getting on drugs, going out here fornicating and doing all these things, right? Still not as bad as our people, though. See, our people are dysfunctional towards one another. Now, John 14 and 15. I want you to pay attention. If you love me, you will keep my commandments. All right. See, Christ was straightforward. But I want to go to the jackpot scripture, and I want to show you all why the other nations are at the top and we're at the bottom. Matthew chapter 22. Matthew chapter 22. Verse 37. Matthew chapter 22, verse 37. Yahushua said unto him, Thou shalt love Elohim, or thou shalt love Yahuwah, thy Elohim, with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. Now, that first commandment covers commandments 1 through 4. The first commandment covers, that's why I say, the first commandment really covers the first 4 commandments. That's why I say all the first 4 commandments are the same. They really are. Yahushua said, Thou shalt love Yahuwah, Yah Elohim, with all thy heart, all thy soul, and all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. But here's the trick. And the second commandment like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as yourself. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments, hang all the law and the prophets. Now, that is the law for us black people. What if you're a Caucasian? Do many of these Caucasians and Arabs and Chinese people and Japanese people, do you love Yahuwah? No, you don't. You don't. You love your own gods, right? And that's okay. Proceed. So why are they doing better than us? Why are we the tail and they're the head, and they don't even give a dang on about commandments 1 through 4? They don't love Yahuwah at all. Many of them don't even believe in him. Hang tight.